The Pacers are my next team, and they're kind of another buyer seller, hard to say, and it's kind of been that way from the moment they had a hot start, or hotter than expected. They've kind of fallen off a cliff ever since Tyrese Halliburton's been hurt, but they're still in a position where they still have some cap space. They used up 17 million of it on a renegotiate and extend with Miles Turner, but they're still just under 11 million in space. So all the like take on a lopsided trade, to get a pick with some
John
bad
Collins,
money.
baby.
Yeah, take John Collins, be the team that finally ends this national nightmare of will John Collins be traded. Um, so I still think for me, they ought to be thinking like, I don't know if I want to take on bad money too, enthusiastically, but they can be opportunistic. They can try to buy, they can see what's out there for Buddy Hield, who, there was a time where that contract looked really bad, but I think it's just 21 million next year. I don't have their sheet up in front of me. It's a botched job on my part. But he signed, when he signed that deal, it had declining structure. So like he's someone that I think would have significant value elsewhere. And if you assume Benedict Mathurin, which would be the correct assumption, is in line to take over that job. Yeah, 21 million, 21.2 for Hield this year, 19.3 next year, and then it expires. I think that's someone they should be looking to move. I think Chris Duarte is on that list too. Isaiah Jackson, TJ McConnell.
Yeah, free Isaiah Jackson at this point. If you're actually going to keep Turner, who is, I don't know if you've been tracking that. There was a huge debate over whether Miles Turner was still trade eligible after his extension. And the verdict is he could be traded. Now, Kevin Pritchard said we don't sign people to contracts just to trade them. I believe Bob Myers also said the same thing about D'Angelo Russell, and we know how that.
Yeah, but you knew that wasn't true with Russell. there was no question. So yeah, I think it's an opportunistic situation for the Pacers. I don't know how easy it'll be necessarily to go get like another young piece with Buddy Hield, and you're probably not giving up draft picks as your main assets to move. But like they can sweeten whatever they want if they need to move Hield and there's a young player or something that they can take back. It's possible because they got all their own picks. They've got Boston's first. They've got Cleveland's first in 23. So they have the assets. I still just view them as a team that, doesn't need to make huge swings. Definitely should not trade Turner. I think he makes a lot of sense with Halliburton. So yeah, they're kind of in a weird middle ground, but in a strange way, the stakes are just so much lower than a lot of other teams in their position, just because they have Halliburton as a cornerstone. They have Mathurin. Turner's deal is going to look really reasonable on those 2 extra years that he added, because it's like right around 20 million. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a great overview for them, but I guess my main thing is I'd be looking to move Hield. I don't know. I think he has value, and I don't know why you necessarily need him on a team that has its backcourt fairly well set.
Yeah, I'm just like, he's been so good this year. And if they're actually trying to not accelerate, but not decelerate their process, do you just keep him and then you could reevaluate your position over the summer? I'm just because I could see them buying. Just they've fallen off since the Tyrese Halliburton injury, which just makes sense. They're 10th in the Eastern Conference right now, I believe, unless I have not refreshed this. Yeah, they're 10th, 4 games under 500, but like they're still within striking distance of doing something. I'm not saying they would consolidate all their picks, but I could see them just standing pat and trying to make a run. Or is it, I guess we can get to, well, who's your most likely player to be traded for this team?
I mean, like you said, the Turner deal makes Jackson. I mean, even Goga Batadze like might be the one of those centers. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think there's a market for Daniel Tice, or he would be on the list too. They don't. I don't know. I'd be curious what you think. I don't see anyone that like leaps out as, oh, this guy is, because of salary and position or whatever. Like, oh, he's got to go. They're just
It
not.
could be O'Shea Brissett, like for all I know. So yeah, they don't have. I put Isaiah Jackson, and I put that after the Miles Turner extension. I was just like, all right, like they got to do something with him now. But the trade idea I have does not involve Isaiah Jackson. It is the Pacers get John Collins and Justin Holiday. The Hawks get Zach Collins, Josh Richardson, O'Shea Brissett, or Jalen Smith. They can have their pick. Cleveland's 2023 first round pick, which is lottery protected, then turns into 2 seconds. It will not turn into 2 seconds. It'll convey. Then the Spurs get Chris Duarte, Jalen Johnson, and Daniel Tice.
So if I'm the Pacers, we'll look at it from their perspective. I'm giving up Duarte, Tice, Brissett, or Smith, and that first, and I'm getting back Collins because Holiday is kind of incidental. To me, just in like we've talked all year about like John Collins' value not making sense. I think that's a pretty good deal to get Collins for that because you're not giving away a core piece. You're just
I would give up the second first round pick too. Like if Atlanta said we want that Boston pick,
yeah.
I would give it up too in a
Oh
heartbeat.
yeah, sure. I think that's fine. I think from the Pacers perspective, that totally works. And like, I don't know what the Collins Miles Turner fit would be like, but I think I kind of like it.
Probably perfect.
Yeah, I think Collins, I still believe in Collins as a defender, because I've just seen it in flashes in big games. And I think there's a great chance. I mean, imagine like none of the friction of the Sabonis Turner pairing would exist here just because both of them can do stuff with the ball away from the basket and both of them can shoot. It makes a lot more sense. So I'm very into that if I'm the Pacers.
Do you have anything else on them?
Let's see. I feel like I don't want to shortchange the Pacers too much here, but I don't know. Like, is there a contract out there? I think Collins is obviously a value add, but is there a way for them to get into a situation where they're taking on somebody's unwanted money and like getting another first? Because that sort of feels like the route you would normally take for a team in this position. But I just
I'm
don't.
just
I mean,
like
like,
it's all they have to like because it's 11 million that they haven't it's a little under 11 million cap
yeah,
space. That just makes like the Knicks. What if they just said we'll give you Obi Toppin and Evan Fournier, but who are you sending back out in
right.
that? And also that's a trade I could see them making where it's sort of a cheaper player. Cam Reddish would be someone else that springs to mind there. Maybe even a Sadiq Bey. Like if the Pistons like, well, we'll take that Cleveland pick for Sadiq Bey, or even
Mhm.
I don't think they take the Boston pick. I could see them making a move like that. I just lopsided money wise. I don't know how feasible that is. Like John Collins is the perfect example where it's okay.
Right.
I just made that one work, but you might need to send out, like what is the other players that you're sending out to make like, because if a team wants to get off money, it's probably pretty sizable.
Yeah,
It's
like
not going to be that
who even are the salary dump candidates? Like we've said Hayward, Russell
Duncan
Westbrook,
Robinson,
Duncan Robinson, yeah, but like
Fournier.
what
Yeah.
you're gonna, yeah, it's just that's always the route I like to go for a team that's not gonna contend and has cap space, but the Pacers don't have a lot, like you said, and there aren't that many out there.
Yeah. But this team, I feel like I guess is just going to stand pat now. Like I could see them being. I think they're. So I'll phrase it this way. I think they're more likely to opportunistically buy than they are to just trade Buddy Hield.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. It's just something about Healed, and like I understand that he's been a good locker room presence and has played well and makes sense on a team if next year you're trying to like win a playoff series potentially, as kind of far fetched as that seems from here. Um, it's just still like the age band and the like, is he a guy that you're gonna build? I don't know. It's just he's the kind of the which one of these things doesn't belong to some extent, and so that always like puts my trade, antenna up. But there's nothing wrong with keeping one of the best shooters in the league who's going to make 19 million next year. Like that's if you need to trade him, do it at the deadline next year when there are more teams that could give you something.